Hi, I'm Silvia San Martin, and today we have another episode for my podcast, If I Could, You Can. And today I have my first guest. Welcome, Michael Wall.
This is the first time that I've got to be the first guest. That's pretty special. I appreciate you having me.
Oh, you are welcome because you have interviewed me a lot of times, so now it's
Five
my turn.
times. Five.
5 or 6, I don't remember.
Well, yeah, it may have been six. It could have been six, but it's definitely you are my most frequent guest and on the Two Opinionated podcast, and I love that. You're great every time.
And we have to do another one in New York.
Yes. Oh yeah, we got to do one live. 100%. Yeah, we're off camera. We were planning our New York trip for the fall. I can't wait.
Because last time you interviewed me, I had 16 books and now I have 23.
Yes. I know it's crazy how fast you write. I mean, it's you're like Stephen King. You got a book coming out like every month.
About writing the third part for Find Your Significant Other.
Yeah, you're the reason I like you so much as an author is because you're very authentic. You don't try to hide anything. You just put it all out there, and it's kind of moving at times. There's several of your books that I thought were very emotional to read because they were written that way. I'm a big fan of you as an author.
Thank you. And I'm a big fan of you as interviewer because there is a lot of time since I don't do an interview because lately they interview me. So now I have to interview you again. So I want you to be in my podcast, If I Could, You Can, because it's a podcast about dreams come true.
Yeah.
And your podcast, Too Opinionated, is very successful. And you do all the interviews from Virginia. You are not in New York or LA. So tell the audience, how do you do?
Well, yeah, it's we're kind of unique. My son and I do the Two Opinionated podcast together. He just works behind the scenes. He does the hard stuff, and I do the interviews. But we're in West Virginia here in the United States, which is it's kind of in the middle. It's a little bit towards New York more than LA, but we're far away from any of the entertainment hubs in the United States. So that can make it a little difficult when you're an entertainment, celebrity interview podcast. But when we started, we just started sending out requests. We made a pitch deck and we started sending out requests to get interviews for the podcast. And lucky or unlucky, however you want to look at it, the fact that everybody got stuck at home during the pandemic helped us as a podcast because we were able to get a lot of people that maybe we wouldn't have got if they were not stuck at home because they would have been too busy to come on. So during that 2020 period, our podcast kind of took off, and then once it took off, we developed those relationships with publicists and managers and agents, and now most of our guests are sent to us. I'd say 95% of the guests we have on the show are sent to us by their agents or their publicists, which has made it so much easier. But that's a long answer to your question, but the real answer is we're able to survive not being in an entertainment city because of the relationships we've built, with the right people that are able to bring us these guests. And as the podcast has done well, I take several trips to New York and to LA throughout the year, and those are really just to kind of firm up those relationships, to develop those contacts, to network, and then that continues to allow us to get guests. And we're to the point now that we have publicists coming to us and saying, "Hey, I see what you're doing. Would you mind interviewing one of mine?" And that's kind of new for me. I'm like, "Yeah, well, yeah, but that means that people are finding us on their own. We're getting big enough that now people are just seeing us out there and contacting us, and that's been pretty great."
That's amazing. I'm waiting for you to speak with Benny Medina in order Jennifer Lopez produce a movie about my book, Find Your Significant Other at Christmas. You have to make it.
I'm such a fan of hers, and I would love to have her on the podcast. She's at that level of celebrity that I haven't cracked yet. We've had, like, I would put our guests, and we've had, I think I was roughly estimating we've had about 1,500 guests, and I'd put them up against any other podcast or talk show or whatever. But there's a level, that top level of celebrity, it's really hard because they're so busy and they have so many demands on their time. It's tough to get them. But J-Lo is definitely at the top of my list. And if I ever get her, I'm definitely having you pop in to meet her.
Yes, we know. And I need to do the podcast with you too. We speak about to do the podcast so you can interview in English, I can interview in Spanish.
Oh, I love that. Yes. Oh, yeah, we can tag team it. That'd be great. Yes, you can be we'll be co-interviewers. That'd be great. Done. If we get J-Lo, we'll do it together. I'll do the English, you'll do the Spanish.
Yes, J-Lo, we want to meet you. We want to interview you, and I want to give you my books. So if you are here, please contact Mike or contact me.
That's right. That's right. She's amazing because she's close to my age, and there's no comparison in the things that she does and the things that I'm able to do. I mean, she still moves and dances and sings and does all that stuff like she's 20 years old instead of 50.
I was in her concert here in Madrid in July.
Oh, yeah, I knew that. Yeah, she's pretty amazing.
It was amazing, the show, and I wish I could have gone to Vegas, but now I'm working a lot. But for Sunday, I want to go to another concert.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, she's one, we've talked many times. My wife works for Live Nation, but she's one that we haven't got to see yet. And she's definitely on our bucket list. At some point, we'll catch her. I kind of like to see her maybe in Miami if she ever goes through there.
Oh, let me know. Maybe I can fly to Miami.
Yeah. That might be an alternative because it's Miami's fantastic, and they've got such a large Spanish-speaking population. That'd be a good one to go to too.
I never been to Miami, so if you go, let me know, and maybe I can join.
What's your weather like now? Like, what's Spain's springtime weather? Are you like 70s or so?
Now it's good. This day is cold in the morning, maybe 5 degrees Celsius, but then at 2 p.m. it's like almost 20 degrees. So now it's like cold in the morning, but then and we had blue sky, so now it's good, the temperature.
Yeah, we're kind of similar to that. It's a little chilly in the morning, but it heats up pretty fast right now, and we've been hitting mid 80s, which is Fahrenheit for us, but it's warm. Warmer than we normally have this time of year.
Yes, nice, good. And because your wife work with Live Nation, I remember because I think it's September, October, Shakira is going to give a lot of concerts here. Maybe you have to get passes and come here.
Oh, we're coming. Yeah, we at some point we're coming to Europe, and Spain is definitely way up on the list. We at some point we'll definitely be over there. Oh, I meant to tell you, my brother took a job with Live Nation. Him and my wife, they're not in the same department, but they work together.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm excited because now him and his wife can travel with us. Because he'll be going to a lot of the same conventions and summits and stuff that my wife has to go to. So we'll be able to do that. I'm pretty excited about it, because he spent several years in just outside, well, in Wiesbaden, Germany. He was over there, so I didn't get to see him for several years. So it's pretty great that he's back and we can spend time together.
I think I need to work for Live Nation too.
I think you do too. That's Live Nation's.
I know,
they're a very good company. Well, and you'd bring, you'd be a great media personality for them. They should use you.
Yes, I think it's a good idea if they are here.
Well, I'll give as much help as I can give.
Good. Mike, tell me, how was your first interview? Do you remember?
Oh yeah. So all right, when Brett and I started the podcast, and at that time he was doing the interviews with me. He pretty quickly figured out that wasn't really for him. But at that point, we didn't have a video presence. This was back. Our very first interview was in the summer of 2018, and it's a pretty good story. So, we there was well, you probably know it. There was a Netflix show called Mindhunter, and there was a woman, an actress that was helping to cast for that show in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is about 2.5 hours away from where I'm at. And I saw that she was there, and I sent her a message on Facebook and said, "Hey, I think I could help you promote on our social media if you would like us to." And that was kind of it. We hadn't started podcasting yet. We were thinking about it. We wanted to do one, hadn't started yet. Well, I sent that message on Facebook, and within 5 minutes, she called me. She didn't answer the message. She called me, and we talked for about an hour. Hit it off right off. Her name's Jennifer Nash, and ended up that she drove down from Pittsburgh, drove at 2.5 hours to our house, cooked us dinner. She's also a chef. And then we did an interview with her, just audio, outside by our swimming pool. So, and it went really well. It was relaxed. It was for our first interview, I was really happy with it. I thought it did really well. And Jennifer is known back in the 90s. She was a pretty prolific actress. She was in one of the most popular Star Trek The Next Generation episodes called The Inner Light. She played Maribor, which was the daughter of Patrick Stewart in that episode. But she was on Home Improvement. She was on Full House. She was on Coach. Just all kinds of, if any of the popular shows in the 90s, she was probably on them. She was also the runner-up to Jennifer Aniston for Rachel's role on Friends. So she was really popular in the 90s, but she kind of retired from acting and was working as casting director. So, that's how that worked out. But if she hadn't done that, I'm not sure we would have a podcast. And that episode, strangely enough, never aired on the Two Opinionated podcast, even though that was technically our first ever episode. We aired it kind of independently of Two Opinionated, and that was in the summer of 2018. And then in January 2019, we officially launched Two Opinionated.
Tell me a moment you thought, enough, I cannot deal with this.
Yeah. Well, I've got Parkinson's, and that has given me fits trying to podcast, because it at times, like most days I'm fine, but I have days where my face gets really tight, and I have my vocal cords get really tight. Well, when your vocal cords are tight and your face is really tight, it's hard to talk, and that gives me a lot of trouble podcasting. And there's been moments that I've gotten frustrated and just wanted to say, heck with it. But I love it so much And those moments never last very long. It usually comes when I'm really busy and I get a little overwhelmed. They never last very long. I have absolutely found what I love to do. Took me way too long. I'm in my 50s. I wish I'd have found this 20 years ago. But I love it. And it's really not too bad. I mean, occasionally, very rarely, I'll get a guest that's not the best, or I'll get a guest that maybe is kind of demanding on what they want, and that's not really too bad because if it were me and like you're interviewing me, I'd want it to be good. So if it was bad, I might have a few suggestions, or if there was something in there I didn't like, I'd have suggestions. But at times that could be a little frustrating from my end to constantly have to change things. But overall, I've never really had that moment where I said, I'm throwing in the towel. I'm walking away. I've had enough. There definitely been frustrating moments, but it's never gotten to that point. I love what I'm doing. Wouldn't change it.
But you decide to speak about the disease too to help another people.
Yeah, it can be difficult sometimes because you never know for sure. Well, I'll say it this way. We have guests that kind of range. We've got guests that this is the first time they've ever done a podcast. They're brand new. Sometimes they're very young, like we've had as young as 7 or 8 years old on the podcast. Sometimes they're very old and struggle with technology. So that can be a bit of a challenge. But what I'm proud of with how we do is that I think we're such a soft landing. We're very easy. We're not trying to catch anybody up in something. We're not trying to be overly negative. We just really try to have a conversation and bring out the best things about whoever that we're interviewing or I'm interviewing. It's I'm not afraid to talk about difficult subjects. If they want to talk about something that's kind of difficult, or if they want to get into politics or whatever, I'll talk about that stuff, no problem. But I tend to keep things pretty positive overall, especially with the guests. And you've been on several times, so hopefully you agree. When I interview somebody, most of the talking I let the guests do, and I'm just more of a sounding board, and I'll kind of prompt them with questions to guide them a little bit. But this is their moment. It's not mine. People aren't coming to watch me. They're coming to watch that guest. So I try to spotlight those guests. Not sure if that answered the question, but there you go.
For me, it's difficult to interview friends because for me, it's like, okay, they are my friends, so I never want to tell something they tell me in private or something like that. So for now, you are the only friend I asked for an interview for promoting your podcast because I know actors, singers, but it's like they are my friends, so I don't want to tell them, oh, I'm going to interview you because I don't want to tell anything they tell me in private. So sometimes it's more difficult when you know the person.
Oh, you know what? You're exactly right. And that the good news for you with me is that I'm pretty much an open book. So there's probably not much that I've told you that is kind of off books or out of limits, because I'm probably talking about it anyway. My Parkinson's is an example of that. I'm very open with the fact that I'm struggling with that because I'm hoping it'll help somebody else that maybe is struggling to not hide and to kind of bring that out. But friends, you do have to be careful. And I've made, several friends, and you're one of the best ones, Silvia, on this podcast with, working actors, actors that are on, main characters on TV shows that are on the air right now. And they tell me stuff off air or, more friend to friend. And I do have to watch what I say, because you don't want to expose and put in danger your friendship just because you're on a podcast. Now, the good news is if we come up and anything, is brought up, and it happens occasionally, that they're uncomfortable with, or they had preferred not to answer. And I can usually tell as soon as I've asked, their facial expressions will tell me. We just edit those out. No harm, no harm. And I'll tell them that ahead of time. Hey, if we get in something you don't want to talk about, just tell me and we'll edit that out. And it doesn't happen very often, but occasionally. And I totally get it. You definitely, with friends, it's different because the most important thing's the friendship. It's not the podcast. But most of the time, the most important thing's the podcast. It's just friendship. That to me, it's kind of like family. Those are ahead of anything else.
Yes, for me as journalist, it's like the most important things are always outside of the camera, never inside.
That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, because you don't want to make somebody uncomfortable. I don't want to make somebody uncomfortable. And, I want the possibility of them to come back at some point, and even if I didn't mess up the friendship, maybe I said something and made it uncomfortable for them, so they didn't want to come back. And I don't want that because, I want, that's the whole point. The reason we do so well is we've developed those relationships, and I don't want to mess those up.
And what advice would you give to young people in order they can make their dreams come true?
One of the things I love the best about you, Silvia, is that you're so positive, and I really relate to that because that's something that I try to be. I don't always succeed, but I really try to be. But you're always, no matter what's going on with you in your personal life, you're always very positive. So I love that. I got a chance last fall to talk with a group of fifth graders, and talk to them about podcasting and some of that. It's so important, I think, to pass on, not necessarily the podcasting part, but to pass on to our younger generation, that understanding that if they can dream it, they can do it. Now they may have to work hard, but anything is possible if it's something that they want to do. So if I'm giving advice to younger people, whether it's starting a podcast or whatever it is, whatever passion they have, it's two things really. One, don't get stuck in a job that you hate. And a lot of us make that. I made that mistake. I worked 20 years running call centers, and I always enjoyed the people, but I never enjoyed the work. And hate's probably too strong a word, but I definitely didn't have an interest or a passion for it. And I spent 20 years doing that because I was making money and it was comfortable. Don't do that. Especially as a young person, it's fine to work jobs while you're establishing yourself. You got to survive. But figure out what it is you want to do and then do that. And if you got to make sacrifices, maybe you're doing what you want to do, but you're not making the money that you would be if you were doing a job that you didn't like as much. Make those sacrifices, because in the long run, you're going to be happier. You're going to be healthier. You're going to be excited about working. And that's rare. Most people, a job's a job. Work is work. If you can find something like we have that we're passionate about, it's work, but it's fun work. You're enjoying what you're doing. So that'd be my first thing is don't get stuck in a job that you really don't want to do. And that doesn't mean don't work any jobs that you don't want to do. We've all had to do those. Just don't get in there and make a career out of something you're not going to like. Follow your passion. Right. And then go ahead, Silvia.
Sorry, that's very important because especially in Spain, I have a lot of young friends and they are very worried because the salaries are low, the price of the house are very expensive. Yeah. So they get any job in order they can pay everything. And some friends tell me, but you made it. And I told them, yes, but I work a lot. It wasn't easy. I didn't have money. I had to work a lot. It's like you can make it, but you have to work a lot. It's not easy.
Well, and you're a great example of how hard you have to hustle to make your dream come true. You have to do all kinds of stuff to allow you to kind of feed that passion. You're doing work and stuff that maybe that's not where your passion lies, but it helps you survive so that you can do the things that you love. And I guess really when it gets down to it, that's what I'm saying is find your passion, follow that, do what you love, and it's your life's going to be so much better. You might be able to make more money doing something else, and that's fine, but it's not really, in my opinion, it's not worth it. Do what you love and you'll be much happier. And being honest, it's not like when you and me were growing up. Young people today, they can't afford houses, they can't afford cars. It's difficult finding a job that pays a livable wage. All those things are and I think we're seeing that with young people now, because if the job isn't good enough, they just don't do it. Where, when we were growing up, we did a lot of jobs there because we just wanted, to be making some type of money. I'm not sure that young people don't have it right. If you're working a job that you're just barely surviving at and it sucks and you can't really survive on it, it's just helping a little bit, they're not doing it. They're just saying, no, I don't want that. And I don't blame them. Hold out for something that you're really looking for. That doesn't mean to be ridiculous about it. If your passion is something that is very unlikely that you're going to succeed, don't give up on it. But you're probably going to have to do some other stuff, in order to allow you to chase that passion.
But I think it can be because now they have social media, so they see a lot of young people that is seen and a lot of money. They are beautiful, everything, success, so they want that. But when we grow up, we didn't have all that stuff.
We did not. And I think we have been that way if we did. We didn't have social media. Being honest, it's probably a bigger negative than a positive. And there's definitely some positives with it, but everybody on social media is trying to make themselves look their best. And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but it doesn't really give an accurate picture of, exactly how they're doing, and if you're a young person, you're watching all these creators and it looks like they're making money and they're living this, kind of big time lifestyle. A lot of that's not really true. They're portraying that, but if you really got in there, they're just barely scraping by too. It's all just a persona, which is fine. Maybe that's their passion. They're trying to make it happen. Nothing wrong with that, but it can be misleading, I think, to younger people. Not everybody can be a influencer. It just doesn't work that way, but if that's your passion and you want to do it, then okay, do it. But you may not be able to make a living off of it. And if you can't, then you got to find something to do that allows you to also do, the influence stuff.
And what did your family tell you when you say, I'm going to do a podcast?
Let me tell you, my parents especially, and I love their hearts. Their answer when I told them, I was like, hey, I've been doing this podcast. First I had to explain what a podcast was. But once I did that, I was like, you want to watch some of it? And they said, well, why do we need to watch you? We talk to you every day.
Yes.
But my family, by and large, extremely supportive. My wife, hardest worker that I've ever met. She allows me to pursue this passion and help me to figure out a path to allow me to retire from everything else and do this full time. She's been great. My son works here on the podcast with me. My other son and both of my daughters have all helped with the podcast. My brother has helped. My best friends have helped. I have tremendous support from the family. So no complaints at all. But my parents' reaction kind of cracked me up. Now, what finally got them was I interviewed Lonnie Anderson, who used to be on this show called WKRP in Cincinnati back in the 70s. Very beautiful. She was married to Burt Reynolds for a while. But I showed my dad that one. That one he was interested in. He's like, "Oh, you talked to Lonnie Anderson." He was like, "Okay." So once I found some people that they wanted to see, then they watched. And then once they watched, they're like, "Well, okay, you're not terrible at that."
You are doing great because it's very difficult, especially when you don't know the business and you start from the beginning, and especially from West Virginia, a little place. So I know it's very difficult, but you are doing very good.
Well, I appreciate that, Silvia. You know, we one of the things that helped us was we never tried to hide any mistakes that we made, and we made a lot of them, especially early on. You know, when we first started, we were doing, you know, audio interviews by holding a cell phone up to a microphone when we were talking to guests. The quality was not good. It was bad. It was bad. But we were very open about it, and we worked hard to try to improve. You know, eventually we figured out Zoom and the other social medias, you know, and we're able to kind of move forward. But it wasn't always that way, and we definitely struggled. And that's probably decent advice for people too. You know, don't try to hide it. You know, if you mess up, just say, "Hey, I messed that up, but here's what we're doing to fix it." And I think people can connect with that because none of us are perfect.
Yes, now with the phone, I should have a better phone, computer, and everything. But you know, I have the podcast, the books, the social media, everything. Is like I don't have even time for making more progress. So
Yeah.
it's like, okay, the important thing is the basics. So
Yeah, I agree.
it's not too bad. Tell me a person you want to interview and you couldn't yet.
Jennifer Garner is my number one
I
target.
knew you will say Jennifer Garner.
Yeah, she you know, she grew up about 10 minutes from where we podcast, and she's such a great ambassador for the state of West Virginia. She's never forgotten West Virginia. She comes here to visit often. Her family still lives here. I've been chasing her for 7 years, and eventually I'm going to get her. But, you know, she's in that top tier celebrity, and she's so busy. I haven't been able to get her yet, but she's number one. She's not the only one, but she's definitely number one on our list.
Well, I hope you can. Jennifer Garner, if you are listening to this, might want to interview you. So
Yes.
I hope you can.
I think I will. You know how I believe in positivity. You put stuff out in the world in a positive manner, and the world tends to bring it back to you. It may not be exactly how you wanted, but you tend to get that positivity back. So I'm putting it out there. I want Jennifer Garner on the podcast. Eventually, it's going to happen, and I know you do that stuff too.
Yes, the thing is sometimes it's difficult when they have a lot of agents, managers, so you cannot speak with them directly. This is the problem.
Well, yeah, it is. It took me almost 6 years just to get somebody on her management team to respond to tell me a no. Most of the time they just ignored me. But once they responded and said no, I was like, aha, you're at least looking at it now. So that gave me hope, and it hasn't happened yet. But, you know, those.
And the question is why they say no.
Well, you know, my guess is one, she's extremely busy. So if she does media, it's usually big media. You know, it's a Stephen Colbert or, you know, the Tonight Show, something like that, where she's, or it's tied to something that she's doing. So it's just on the news, you know, it's not media. So that's part of it. The bigger part, I think, is that those particular agencies that handle those bigger named stars, that top level of talent, they don't take us serious enough yet. I think that response was an indication that they've at least taken a second to notice us. They've seen us on something. They're like, okay, let me look. And they're saying, nah, that's not big enough to put Jennifer on yet. But, now it's my job to change their mind. And I will. I think I will eventually. But that first step was just getting them to respond, even though it was a no. I don't take no's as necessarily an ending. Sometimes I have people tell me, whoever, they absolutely will not do podcasts. And I was like, okay. And then I just move on. But most of the time I know, I'm just like, okay, now's not the right time. But if I'm persistent, maybe eventually you'll give me a chance. And I'll even offer, hey, okay, if Jennifer's not the right person, when you do have somebody that's promoting something, let me interview them. And then, if you see that I can handle an interview and I do a good job, then maybe you'll give me that chance with who I'm trying to get.
Yes, as you say, a no is only a beginning.
That's right. It really is. I mean, not always. My favorite no, and I think I've told you this one, Silvia, but I sent a note to Mr. T's manager, and he just wrote back, and it just said no punctuation or anything. It just said, T won't do this. That's it. No period or nothing. And it kind of cracked me up because I could kind of see him doing that. So that one, I was like, all right, that's pretty good. It still didn't stop me. Occasionally I'll still send a request just to see. But that was my favorite one that I got.
I had two curious things. You are going to laugh because once, I had some things in my life. And once my lawyer went to a company and they just for a complaint, he had to fill and everything, and they didn't want to give him. So I told him, you have to call the police. And when the police finally go, the police say, no, it's not necessary. And he called me, and the police woman put in the phone, and I told her, but the law is like that. They have to give him the complaint. Okay, if I need to speak with you, I will tell later. And later on, my lawyer told me, the police woman told him, who is this woman who know everything?
That does not surprise me.
And the second, you are going to laugh more. I cannot speak a lot, but a lawyer told my lawyer, but is he really a journalist? And it goes like, what? You only have to put my name in Google.
Well, I've told you some of the things that you've had to deal with. They're just like, it's hard to believe that you're having to deal with some of that. It's crazy.
It's crazy. Life is crazy.
It is.
I have another request for you. First is Jennifer Lopez.
Yep.
And the second request, you have to speak with Jason Momoa in order he saw us Hawaii.
Well, I would love to speak with him, and he's so nerdy that I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that we can get him. My plan is to make an attempt. He's going to play Lobo in the one of the movies coming out, and so that's my hope, is that when they start promoting for that I'll be able to sneak in there and grab him. Now, it may be one of those, they call them press junkets, where he just sits down and but he just sits down and talks to, maybe 10, 15, 20 different people, but only like 5 minutes a piece. And I'd be fine with that, because that's 5 minutes that I can get face to face with him. And if he enjoys it, or maybe something happens that he remembers me out of all those other people we talked to, then I can reach back out and bring him in for like a full actual interview.
Okay, I can go with you with my dress, and I'm sure he will remember.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, you could wear that one or the red one, and yes, he would absolutely remember. He might be so distracted he couldn't interview.
Yeah, now I think he has Adrian Arjona now, so he's okay. But for me, it's funny because some months ago, if I put some comment in Jason Momoa post in Instagram, then I have a lot of requests of force Jason Momoa to my Instagram. So it was like, but it's not the real one.
Jennifer Lopez is your number one. Jason Momoa is up there too. You know, who are a couple other people that you're dying to talk to?
Well, Erika is my friend now, so I can speak with her, so it's not a problem. And I would have loved to interview Patrice Swayze, but now it's impossible. I would have loved to interview Shannon Doherty, now it's impossible. But maybe I would like to meet Jenny Gar. Once she reposts one of the things I put in Instagram, I know she's going to have the book released soon. I had her first book. Now she's going to release the second.
Yeah.
So I think it will be interesting speaking with her about her book. But now I don't have someone because it was like always Patrick Swayze. Now it's impossible.
What about Wonder Woman?
Oh, of course, Wonder Woman. Yes, it will be great too.
I just saw that she's rumored to be doing a Star Trek movie with Chris, either Chris, maybe both Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth. So I'd be all about that if they wanted to bring her into the Star Trek universe.
Yes, it will be good too. But it's like if you ask me, I have interviewed so many people that now I don't have one. Maybe I would like to speak with Shakira again, but just because I interviewed her long time ago when she came to Spain for the first time. So just chatting.
You should
Jennifer
definitely
Lopez.
try to get her back because you've already had that moment with her, that interview. You might be able to get her back.
Yes, but now it's like, as you say, she's like in the top. So maybe it's difficult unless you come with your wife with like nothing to the concert. So maybe
Oh, that's true.
can.
Maybe she can hook us up.
Yes. But it's like I have interviewed a lot of people. So now it's like more they interview me. Of course, I would love to meet Jennifer Lopez, of course. And I adore Erika Elenia, but she knows and she's a friend. So as I told you, I don't want to disturb her with these little things. And for now, it's like that. It's more like maybe Yellow and Jason Momoa.
Yeah. Well, those are great choices. I'd be with you. I hope that one of us gets them. And if one of us gets them, I think both of us might be able to get them.
And as I told you once, it's silly because they invite me to the press conference for the first album of Jennifer Lopez in Madrid, but I didn't want. And then for the advertise, see that of Pepsi, and I didn't go. And now it's like, why I didn't go?
You need to get back to your reporter roots.
Yes, I don't know if I want. Because now I want more like enjoy with friends, go to concert, but more for friends, not for interview.
That's right.
In fact,
You're going to have fun now.
Yes, normally I go to concert when the singer is a friend or something like that. Or in the case of J-Lo, of course, I wanted to see her. But it's like I want to enjoy life.
Yeah. Well, as you should. You know, that's you got to have that work-life balance, even if you love what you're doing for work.
For example, today I was reading all day. Today the book, The Notebook, because I like the movie, so I bought the book and I was reading all day. So now it's like I want to read, watch movie, doing exercise, of course the podcast, and it's different because I went to so many concerts and everything. Like now, I like to slow down a little.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get that. Totally get it.
What's the next step you want to do with your podcast?
Well, I think you know right now I'm trying to build out our kind of infrastructure. You know, so you know I'm working on our presence on different social medias. So that you know should in theory that should help us reach more people where we can you know kind of grow our audience some. So that's part of it. You know, uh, I want to um, step up our level of guests, and you know through the years it's kind of slowly increased, but I would like to get into that top layer of talent, and the way probably to do that is those press junkets that I was talking about, because you get a couple minutes with them, but it gives you that FaceTime, and it also introduces you to their people, and then I think those will eventually lead to us, you know, actually having an interview. You know, I've worked on improving the posters, that you know the promos that we do for each interview. I've worked on you know expanding where we put things, making sure it gets in front of the most people. So I want to work on all of that. Uh, but you know, it's like anything you do that involves social media. You're constantly chasing a bigger number, and I don't necessarily want to spend all my time just trying to chase that number necessarily. I want to continue to work to make the podcast the best podcast that it can be, and then hopefully the numbers will just come naturally.
You need to do some merchandising for your podcast.
Yeah, I really do. I mean, my wife has actually done a really good job with that. She's made us some mugs. She does pottery, so she's made us some mugs. I've got stickers. I've got coasters. I've got stuff. I normally use it as giveaways when we go to conventions and stuff, but I need to just put that merchandise out there and see if anybody be interested in it.
Yes, I have merchandise for you and everything, so I have to see you in New York, or you can come here, and we have to do something.
Yeah, well, I hope we can do both. I hope I can
Yes.
see you in New York or Miami or wherever we go. But we are definitely coming to Europe at some point. Yeah, we tried back in 2018, and my wife had to have her appendix and gallbladder out, so that was our 10-year anniversary, and that scraped that idea. And then my brother was in Wiesbaden, and we were going to go in 2020, and of course that was 2020, so we didn't. And then he came home, so we still haven't made it over there. Although she goes to Europe a lot. She was in Portugal last year, and she's in Mexico quite a bit, which that's not Europe, but she's in London a lot. She goes to Paris some. So she's over there quite a bit, but I've never been. So some point in the next couple of years, we're definitely going, just because, I'd like to go and experience some of that.
Yes, so you have to tell her to bring us to the Shakira concert, and you invite me, and we can
Oh,
go.
yeah, that would be, we'd have a good time at that. I'm in for that. Oh, especially if it's like a festival. So you get Shakira plus a bunch of other people.
Shakira is going to build a special for the concert here in Madrid for her. So she's going to be like, I think maybe almost 10 concerts, something like that, here outside Madrid in September, October. So,
That'd be awesome.
And then we have to plan something for the next New York J-Lo concert too.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe
she works New York quite a bit, so maybe we can find something.
So you have to see when she gives a concert in New York, and we can go.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
And what happened with the musical about Dirty Dancing? Because it's supposed it had to be in New York in the last end of the year, but I think not yet.
Yeah, I don't think I haven't seen anything on it yet, but yeah, I hear it's coming.
And you have to prepare something in order we can do bigger the podcast, so I can help you interview in Spanish.
Yes. Well, if we get set up with her, we'll just do it together, and we'll just those are fun. I love having a guest interviewer. I've had some here and there that have come on and kind of helped me. I love that. I love that collaborative effort. That's one thing with podcast. I enjoy the interaction with people. I'm an introvert, so I'm kind of uncomfortable on camera, but I really enjoy talking with people. But because I'm an introvert, I don't want the attention necessarily on me. I'm fine for the attention to be on whoever I'm talking with. So I feel the same when I have a guest interviewer. I'm good hanging out in the background. I'll prompt. I like to think I'm pretty good at this. So, if I need to say something, no problem saying it, obviously. But my preference is to put the focus on whoever is on screen with me.
But you have to do a party or something of the podcast at some point.
Yeah, I would love that. I'd love to do like we've done a little bit. We did. I brought the guests for a local comic book convention or pop culture convention, I think is what they were calling it, here close to us. And I just brought a lot of my, actors who are friends to it. And I had the best time because once the convention was over, they just came to the house and we just had a party and it was just hanging out with a bunch of people I like. So that was awesome. I'd love to do that. If you get to do a live interview and then you just hang out after it.
Yes, I remember when I went to concert long time ago, and then we party and these things. So normally the party is after the party.
That's right. I mean, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Most of the time when I interview, once I'm done interviewing, I just close the computer and go home. I'd rather go to a party.
Yes, so we have to think about something. Well, for now, we have to think about New York. We have to set the date because we have to meet there. And I will have you soon in my other podcast, Find Your Significant Other too.
Yeah.
So for now, what do you want to say to the audience about your podcast, To Opinionated?
Well, so our podcast is called the Two Opinionated Podcast, and you can pretty much find it anywhere if you put in Two Opinionated Podcast. But our YouTube channel is Meister Con, and you can see it behind me, but only do one A, not four A's. MeisterCon.com is our website. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. You can go to either one of those, and you'll find. We've got almost 1,200 interviews, audio and video versions up, so you can find those. If you go to either, subscribe, please. It's like following, doesn't cost you anything, but those subscriptions help us to encourage people to come on the show. So if you go there, please subscribe. Please check us out. We've got a couple of dozen different playlists, so you can easily find something that you're interested in or a show that you love. click on that, and you'll see a bunch of the cast that we've interviewed from that show. So please check us out, meistercon.com and MeisterCon Pod on YouTube.
Okay, subscribe to YouTube, and how can they follow you on social media?
Well, the same. You've got those. Most of our handles are under MeisterCon. Although if you put in the Two Opinionated Podcast, a lot of times it'll come up. But we're MeisterCon on Facebook, or MeisterCon on Instagram, MeisterCon on X, or on Blue Sky, same thing. LinkedIn, we're on there as well. So yeah, if you look up MeisterCon anywhere, or if you put it in Google, it's all going to come up. So yeah, please, we'd love to have you as a follower. We also, we do a lot of fun stuff. We post a lot of pop culture type of memes and just funny stuff. And, occasionally we'll do kind of nerdy blogs, and there's all kinds of stuff on there in addition to all these interviews. So definitely check us out in MeisterCon anywhere.
Okay, thank you very much, Mike, for having you here, my first guest in my podcast.
I'm so honored.
Good.
Yeah, of course, we got to do like 5 more of these to equal yours or you coming on mine. So we got to just keep doing these.
Yes, we have to keep doing. Remember, I had to speak about more books, so
that's right. Oh yeah. We'll reverse this. You'll definitely be coming back for sure.
So see you in my podcast, Find Your Significant Other, soon. Okay.
Thank you so much, Silvia.
Mike.
Oh, this has been great. Thank you for having me. It's been nice being on this side of it.
Yes, we changed the role for one. So it was fun. Thank you very much. So follow the podcast if I could, you can, and follow the podcast, the Two Opinionated Podcast, and see you soon.
Thanks, Silvia.